There's a dirty secret about planting native plants at your house, and no one else is going to tell you, so I'm going to tell you. And that's because everyone else that is promoting native plants is only going to talk about the ecological benefits that they will bring for pollinators and for the environment, and how good they are for planting around your home. But what they won't tell you is that certain native plants are extremely problematic to plant in your flower beds or around your home because of how they grow. You see, a lot of straight species native plants, well, they're very aggressive in the way that they grow. They could either spread via root systems or by casting seeds everywhere and essentially trying to take over wherever you plant them. And that's because out in nature, they have to compete against all of the other plants that are in the ecosystem, and they are vying for territory, and it is life or death, because if they can't spread and reproduce, that species will go away. So I'll give you some real life examples of how this can play out in a home landscape. So let's say you go to the garden center and you pick up this cute little yarrow plant because, well, the butterflies love it and you want to feed the pollinators. Yarrow normally grows in grasslands and prairies, and it has to compete against all kinds of other plants for survival. So when this thing gets to your home and then it finds nice fertile soil that you have been amending with compost, and it finds nice patches of open land, it's going to colonize them. So in the coming years, it's going to be casting out seeds, and if you don't do anything, you're going to end up with an entire flower bed or yard full of yarrow. And there are many native species that can be quite problematic in the landscape because, well, it's not their native environment. I'm just going to list some off for you, and just know that there are many more in other parts of the country that potentially could be problematic. So things like trumpet vine, hackberry, western soapberry, elm trees, mulberry trees, horse mint, inland sea oats, Mexican feathergrass, different species of mint, goldenrod, milkweed, bee balm, sumac, Virginia creeper, eastern red cedar, and these are just the ones that come to the top of my head. And these can all be tremendously helpful and beneficial plants when they're in the right place in the right environment, but they can all also get extremely out of hand in an urban environment. But that's why a lot of plant breeders have helped solve this issue by creating cultivars. So cultivars are cultivated varieties or hybrids of a lot of those plants that I just listed. And so what the plant breeders do is they take those really nice native plants and they crossbreed them so that way they don't produce as many seeds, so that way they're not as, well, aggressive in the way that they grow and spread in the landscape. And a lot of times they will actually fit into your flower beds in a lot more tidy way. However, there is a faction of native plant enthusiasts that I call the purists, and the purists do not accept cultivars as a real native plant, which in my opinion is a very closed-minded way of thinking. If you are wanting to promote natives and try to get widespread adaptation of people using native plants in their flower beds, then you need to be mindful of these things. If you think that only promoting straight species natives is the way to go, then you're going to end up with a lot of customers that buy these plants and then they end up regretting it because of how aggressively they can grow and spread. Because it can really become a maintenance nightmare. And a lot of these people are buying into the idea that if they plant natives, that they're going to have a maintenance-free flower bed. Really what I'm trying to say here is there's a lot of nuance in this discussion, and it's certainly not anything that can be talked about at length in one short form video. Because a lot of the quote-unquote invasive plants that are exotic and brought in from other parts of the world are actually a lot more well-behaved in an ornamental flower bed than the native counterparts are. But what I love about the world that we live in now is we are in the age of information. And so with quick searches on YouTube and on Google and on different sites online, you can quickly research different types of plants and find out whether or not they're going to work for your specific home and your situation. And of course, talk to your local garden centers and your local experts who actually have hands-on experience with these different plants and how they perform in the landscape.